Hello, my dear students, and welcome back. Exams are just around the corner, and I know this chapter on India's external relations can look a little tough, na? But fear not. Don't you worry one bit. Today we're going to make it super simple and cover everything important so you can score full marks. Chalo, let's get started.
So to really understand India's foreign policy, you have to picture the world back in 1947. India was just born, right? And the world was a really challenging place. A huge war had just ended, and everything was changing. It was on this world stage that a brand new India had to figure out its path.
You see, after World War II, the world basically split into two big teams. You can think of it like two powerful gangs in a school, and everyone was being pressured to join one side or the other.
On one side, you had the USA and all its friends, the Western Bloc. And on the other side, there was the Soviet Union and its friends, the Eastern Bloc. And these two were not friends at all. This big rivalry was called the Cold War.
So this is the most important question for a newly independent country like India. Which team do you join? America's team or the Soviet team? It was a really big decision.
Well, India made a very smart choice. Our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, decided that India would not join either of these gangs. We would be independent and stay friends with everyone. And this special policy, my dear students, is called non-alignment. And you know what? India wasn't alone. Nehru, along with great leaders from Yugoslavia, Egypt, Indonesia, and Ghana, started this no-team team. It was called the Non-Aligned Movement, or NAM for short, a whole group of countries that wanted to make their own choices.
Okay, now let's talk about our neighbors. We'll start with China. In the beginning, India and China were like brothers. There was this very famous slogan, Hindi Chini Bye Bye, which means Indians and Chinese are brothers. But things went very wrong.
Things actually started out really well in 1954 with something called the Panchsheel Agreement, which was all about peaceful friendship. But then, the situation in Tibet became a huge problem. In 1959, India gave shelter to the Dalai Lama, and this made China very angry, which finally led to the war in 1962. So what was the war about? It was mainly about a border dispute. China claimed these two big areas in our territory, Aksai Chin in Ladakh and another area called Nifa, which we now know as Arunachal Pradesh. This was the main reason for the war.
You know, India was not at all prepared for this attack. The defeat was a huge shock for the entire country. It was a moment of national humiliation, and it really hurt our country's image on the world stage.
The war had huge consequences, Bacho. First, it forced us to wake up and strengthen our army. Politically, there were big changes too. Nehru's leadership was questioned, our defense minister had to resign, and even the Communist Party of India split because of it.
All right, now let's look at our relationship with Pakistan. This one has been full of ups and downs right from the time of partition. The first major war happened in 1965. Pakistan launched an attack first in Gujarat and then in Jammu and Kashmir. That war ended with something called the Tashkent Agreement.
Now, the next big conflict was in 1971, and this one was different because it was actually about a crisis happening inside Pakistan.
What happened was, the army in West Pakistan started a terrible period of violence in East Pakistan. It was so bad that about 80 lakh people, that's 8 million, had to run away from their homes and come into India as refugees. Can you imagine? This was a huge burden for us.
So, India decided to support the people of East Pakistan in their freedom struggle. This led to a war which we won very decisively. In a historic moment, the Pakistani army, with 90,000 soldiers, surrendered to the Indian army. And this incredible victory led to the creation of a brand new country, Bangladesh.
So, if you get a question in your exam like this, what should you write? It's simple. Just mention 3 things: the internal political crisis in Pakistan, the protests for freedom in East Pakistan, and the huge refugee problem that India had to face. That's your perfect answer.
Okay, one more important topic to quickly cover. India's nuclear policy. This is super interesting.
Nehru always believed in using science for development, you know. So he started our nuclear program for peaceful things, like creating electricity. But then China became a nuclear power in 1964. After that, India also had to develop its own nuclear capability for security.
Now, this is a crucial point. When India did its first nuclear test in 1974, we called it a peaceful explosion. We made it very clear that we were committed to using nuclear energy only for peaceful purposes.
And that's why India refused to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, because we felt it was discriminatory.
Okay, bachcho, great job. Let's do a super-duper quick revision of the most important terms you absolutely must remember for your exam. Ready?
First, remember Panchsheel, those 5 principles of peace between India and China from 1954. Easy.
Next, the Tashkent Agreement. This is the one that ended the 1965 war with Pakistan. Remember, our Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, signed this.
And finally, the Shimla Agreement. This one was signed by our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi right after our big victory in the 1971 war, to bring back peace.
So that's the whole chapter, made easy for you. Now I want you to think about this question. What do you think was our biggest achievement? Was it the smart policy of non-alignment, or was it the amazing victory in the 1971 war? Think about it. All the very best for your exams, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.